No, I just, that's
Supposedly, so you can see that here, all that has, I mean, grass off the edge of the highway, which collects more money. Keeps that grass clean, that mowing it lawn.
Yeah.
well, that's probably good.
Comes the jail.
If you're out in the wild looking for them, you have to sneak on them, you know, 10 miles. It just blows my mind.
But they find, you know, that for the
Is that right?
this should actually say it just was.
I've had it.
But even if you're.
I put that stuff on the side of the kitchen window. And then she comes to the house. And she see her out the window, she comes out the door, and she comes into the house, and she walked right up to me. So I called the game commission. Young lady came over now, she down the next morning. You know, I said, well, I'll give you information before that on that one.
Yeah, they
Probably
need-
safer to go to less.
They need to figure out what's wrong with them.
This one I travel on because from
Yeah, most of them
essentially,
don't let you have.
They also got two
top the hill is very treacherous.
It reminds me of somebody that has a cat.
Well, you wonder about that if she's at tame. I put an ostrich here, so they could really.
Well, from another one, she
Yeah. Pictures with the ear tag in there, and never tell them what I do. Well, I know.
I know it's got a orange collar on it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I don't know how she gets rid of it.
Is that right? Oh, she's out driving around the bar, like he gets sneaky out. Hopefully their paths never cross. She's been watching him do. I don't know, has he straightened up? Somebody told me to quit drinking, but I don't know if it's true. Yeah, you don't think so?
Well, you get it
I
off.
don't like it. No, neither one of them did. Yeah, TJ's. He got picked up several times, and I wondered if maybe it
Well, he's got a,
frightened him.
he's got a very great writing.
Did he lose his license? He's been picked up
Put
several
him in
times.
park or.
He might have lost it, and has to have a chauffeur.
I know she drives him when he goes out. Can't be
Yeah, I don't know why Scott Wilkins is still not pushing up daisies, he should be. He gets up and starts to breakfast. Well, he was at, possibly Arnold Johnson's. I didn't either, but somebody said he was working. I didn't see him. He what? studied in person. He did? No, I didn't. Well, that's what. Well, I mean, I was getting, they're 80, but. What's he say, age? Pretty close. Ron will be 80, would have been 82, 28. She's past 80. I can't remember if I did. Who did? I can't remember. Invitational. Oh, well. I don't think I got it.
We're super close. Figured I'd go off of that clock, so we can be maybe on time, but we're really close. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order, please. Roll call.
Dean?
Here.
Gaston? Yes. Page? Here. Grant?
Here.
Edmonds?
Yep.
Scholar?
We'll go ahead and observe a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Copy of the Open Meetings Act is posted here on the wall, here in the Legebute's Golf Course Clubhouse. It's also available in pamphlet form and in the link provided in the agenda. Number 5, our consent agenda is A, approval of the September 23rd, 2025 regular meeting minutes and the September 23rd, 2025 budget hearing minutes. B is approved Planning Commission's prior approved building permit for James Domingo of 409 Reed Street with an addition for a laundry room. Do I have a motion?
consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
I'll second. Dean?
Yes.
Page? Yes. Justin? Yes.
Thank you. Reports, Park and Cemetery.
Okay, so we, did have a meeting last week, and, mostly we were checking with Kevin because we're winding up the year, so we want to make sure that our water stuff is all good to go for the winter. Kevin has assured us that, that's on his schedule, he said he's caught up, he doesn't feel like he's overwhelmed, so, that is awesome. Talked a little bit about, the railroad stuff that you may have seen, that there's some dirt work been done there, and I advised that he go ahead and plant that, and pretty soon the grass popped up, and I went, good job, so we got that done. And I know that, Kevin has, a question about a shop heater, so you'll see that on, I think later in the agenda. The other thing, actually, I have a question for you guys. So as we talked about the urban and community forestry grants last meeting, and I checked on those a little bit, and my question to you is, who's writing the contract for that? Because when we talked about it in Park Board, the question was, how flexible are those funds to be used? So,
Sure. So the NRD will be leading all of that, and they will be writing all of it on our behalf, and they will also be funding all of it on our behalf.
And I get that, I had.
So when we have specifics, we'll actually sit down and have a meeting with Pat and his team and our park board, so that way everybody's on the same page. But that next round will happen probably in December, so it'll be shortly before then that we'll meet for specifics.
That's what I wanted to make sure is that, because I asked, one of the guys I worked with on the trees that we did get, I asked him, how flexible that could be, and he gave me some ideas. He said, well, gosh, Dick's has done an incredible job of looking at dead trees that are maybe not in that section of between the sidewalks and the street. So he says, work on it, and I just wanted to make sure that we have.
And they're gonna actually, from the Forest Service, they're gonna issue us somebody that's a specialist in helping us plan and all of that to help us, address which ones would be most important.
Exactly.
And help come up with a list and how to go about that list. So we do have help coming in. Most of that project should be a project that they can do, with our input. But we shouldn't have to be the manpower of it.
Right, and that's exactly what I understood, is that, but I was just thinking about the planning and making sure that we have, somebody needs to be there to help with that. What do we need?
Sure.
Rather than what does somebody else think we need. So that'd be awesome, and we'd love to be part of that, so.
Sure.
I'm just stepping up right now. So other than that, we are planting trees, and you'll see us around, this week, probably, or next week, getting, I've got 10 trees to plant, so.
Thank you for that.
Good deal.
Fine.
I'm gonna remain seated because I'm a little woozy still from the blood donation, but I'll do my best to speak up so everybody can hear. With the start of the new fiscal year, I thought we'd review the year previous in summary. It was a fabulous year, 2024, 2025, for the library. We saw a 17% increase in patronage and attendances, where it was 4,999. Previous year, it was 5,851 this year. The computer uses also saw a notable increase, which I attribute to the upgraded software that I was able to get put on the machines in the computer lab. There was a 42% increase of computer lab usage by the public. And circulations were also up 9% to include all of our physical and digital materials. There were many goals and projects that were accomplished in this fiscal year. There was a lot of fiscal innovation. For example, $1,820 worth of discounted Microsoft software was received. $1,104 worth of internet service discounts were attributed to our bills. We were awarded a $500 grant for the secure and to make us compliant with the Children's Internet Protection Act as well. And then lastly, we saved $687 in library materials by participating in the interlibrary loan program. So the average cost of any given checkoutable item versus what we paid to receive them and fill in those gaps on a temporary basis saved us quite a bit. There was a lot of progress in the collection development as well. The DVD collection has successfully been expanded. Spanish materials have been added to our youth sections. And the organization of the children's nonfiction has been vastly improved. It was overhauled. I've talked about that at previous meetings, but it's been a screaming success. A lot more nonfiction has been circulating with our pre-K and below. Let's see. And then also 2 new sections were developed for early reader chapter books and young adult sections. So there's something for everybody at the library now, and it's easier for them to find the materials for themselves. Event programming and developments, there were notably more events and activities. There was an overall 25% increase in attendance of our library's specific activities. The facilitation of community organizations meeting was doubled, and there was a dramatic uptick in summer reading program participation and books read. And lastly there were several services that were developed to include the meeting room was successfully renovated. It's been a huge asset to everybody who's been using it. The computer lab software upgrades, of course, and also new service that was this year was proctoring tests for college students who can't be at their campuses. So there was at least 3 different students who took several tests over the summer and passed their college courses thanks to that being available. Looking ahead, I want to renovate the entryway of the library. Got some really cool, simple but effective aspirations for that. I intend to refresh all of the technology, the physical equipment, and our library management system for that we use to check materials in and out. And I intend to establish a dedicated large print labeling method because no one should have to read fine print to find large print. And I intend to enhance promotion of the library, its services, and events more effectively and on a broader scale. I also aspire to hold regular professional development programs this year. That's going to be a big focus for our community. And I will be incorporating a winter reading program in addition to our summer reading program. We'll try that out this year and see how it goes. And then I also hope to regulate the collection development differently and better to include more patron requests and high interest relevant titles for our patrons. So it's been a while since we've had regular fresh books pumping in, and the grants we receive will help with that as well. Upcoming events that we have going on in November, the weeks between Veterans Day and Pearl Harbor Day, there's going to be military movie nights hosted at the fire hall on their beautiful digital projector to celebrate and honor veterans, military families, and it's meant to be a family event, so the titles will be carefully selected to where children can totally watch with the guidance and hand-holding of their parents if that's what they need, but it's meant to be a family affair. And there will be a gingerbread house construction demo where people will get to observe how that actually happens and how they can do it for themselves as holidays, and a jingle bell craft as well, where people can come by to make jingle bell crafts for their own funsies or to participate in the Jingle Bell Parade that will be taking place early December, put on by the Chamber of Commerce. So, are there any questions for me about my report? Thank you.
Water and sewer?
So we installed the air compressor at the water plant about 4 weeks ago, and in that process, something wasn't quite working right, so we've been running the whole water plant in manual. I've probably seen that and I up there quite a bit lately. And so we're still working on getting that fixed. We're also running on some expired software license at the water plant, and the SCADA system is pretty old, and so, like I said, we've got expired software there, so we don't know if or when it might crap out on us. So we're working on multiple quotes to get the SCADA upgraded. The gallery automation also isn't currently working with this plant SCADA, so it's not talking back and forth. So we're having to go out and to the gallery and turn the panels on manually, and instead of it running automatically like usual, so we're still dealing with that as well. We can run both pumps, but we still need to evaluate also the power requirements if we can get a VFD on the second pump, so that once we do get our CADation figured out, we can run both pumps automatically instead of just one of them running automatically and the other one just sitting there as a backup, not getting exercised. And then the Allen tank is leaking, and so we're in the process of getting quotes for a new tank for that. It's better suited for the application. Right now we've got a round tank with a bung on the side, and because it's round, the bung doesn't hold and may create a good seal. We're looking at a square tank so that the side's flat, the bung sits properly and doesn't look so bad. And then we also didn't get the security grant for the last fiscal year, but paperwork's still valid for this fiscal year. And there's a possibility that people won't use their funds or won't use the total funds that they're allocated, so there's a chance that we can still get in on some of that for this year, if they don't utilize all that. And I think that's about it. If you have questions.
All right, we'll go ahead and move on to new business. Number 6, discuss, approve, disapprove working with JEO to apply for a search grant through USDA to pay for an updated facilities plan to review the city's water infrastructure, including the plant.
So this was, so that they'll apply for the grant for us. I just put this on there. I didn't want to overstep without talking to the rest of the council about it. It's free to us, from what Jack says. It's $30,000 grant, and what it does is it will pay for the engineering and research into what needs upgraded for our water infrastructure. So from the gallery to the plant to in town, including all the fire hydrants, all that stuff that we've talked about over and over. This grant pays for them to put together a comprehensive plan. What all needs done, and what I discussed with Jack was I told him that, you know, we have no money. There is zero money for any of this, so we're gonna need them to help out with, you know, putting different projects together and try to get something that's more of 100% grant. But anyway, so we just need to approve this so we can move forward, and I can let him know tomorrow.
So it's the agenda item is asking to go ahead with.
So it's a grant that finds
Applying for a grant that makes a plan.
yeah, it's like a fact finding, because I mean, engineering is expensive, right? So this grant is what is gonna pay for that engineering part of it.
Any other questions?
Will it cover like their whole report, or is it?
I don't know.
a portion? And then
That I don't know. I know that, from a little bit of looking into it, it's only a $30,000 grant, and hopefully we can stay underneath that.
So it's not meant to implement whatever the plan is, it's just agreed. Okay.
So the plan would outline costs of improvements or?
So what I went over with Jack, and with Dennis and Edward there, what we talked about was big picture stuff, like
we've talked for a couple of years now that our filtration system is in dire need of something. So it's a big picture, and the step-by-step procedure on, okay, we're gonna do this first, then this needs to happen, and so on and so forth, not just, you know, picking what we can afford, and then by the time we get to this other thing, then what we already bought is outdated. You know, we're trying to avoid that, so by going with the engineers who build these things, I mean, they should be able to put together a good comprehensive plan for us. And like I said, that also is going to include some projects in town. Just like what, do you remember when the shaft guy came and presented, and he was talking about, you know, incorporating all these different projects into one big project? So it's the same thing that we're talking about, but we can't apply for any grants without knowing what we need.
It gives them the ability to then go find money in the grant process with this plan. So,
And JEO has a grant writer on staff, or at least one, that it's his whole job is to find money for places like this.
Last question, Ryan. It said in the item that it's an updated plan. Is there a previous plan that you can refer to, or is this really an initial plan being formed with this variety?
my suspicion is the original plan is when they built the facility.
Right, that would be
There's
my
no
guess.
record one that we know of at this time. Thank you.
Anyway, I think it'd be foolish for us not. I mean, it's 100% grant. At least it lets us know what all the issues are. Because I guarantee you, they're gonna find stuff that Dennis, you don't know about.
Possible.
Or maybe they'll find those elusive fire hydrants that we don't know. So I'll make a motion to approve.
Can I have a second? I'll second.
Dean?
Yes.
Kate? Yes. Gaston?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Number 7, discuss, approve, disapprove the purchase of a new furnace for the barber shop, Iron Ice Mechanical.
I have a question.
Okay.
So, my understanding was in years previous that we were not using that building in the winter time.
We have been using it the past 2 years.
You have been, okay.
And we do have paint, pesticides, cod, glue, several different things in there.
So are you just heating that, like the workroom or the garage bay as well?
It heats the whole shop. It's a
The whole
simple
thing.
furnace. And that thing is 37 years old and it's put in there 1988, 37 years old. Heat exchange is bad. We did get gas, of course, after the fact, with carbon monoxide detector in there, and it blew up. I actually take a look at it, and the heat exchange is bad. It's like, we replace that. He goes, it's 1988. He goes, no. So the bid they has, which is $34.50, it's for a new furnace, we have plumbed in right and everything. 80% efficiency, which I guess is cheaper than 100% efficiency. Looking at the new systems they have, one's called the heat pump. Sounds very efficient. We want to pump everything, but I think that'd be way too cost prohibitive. As far as I know, they start about 16 grand. And then radiant heat was also brought up, and that type of building, I don't think radiant heat would be that good for that building. Plus, everything is a little bit more expensive than what just an actual furnace would be. So, I do plan on spending some more time down there this winter. I have on glass, and I want to start working on the hatchery, replacing all the glass in there, getting out, scraping the whole building and everything. I've had some volunteers that they have sprayers, I paint for it. shop, obviously, camperings. So it'd be nice when it's chilly out to get out and start replacing windows on the hatchery, start rehabbing it a little bit. Get glass with back in the windows, scraping and everything, and then have a place to go back and warm up. Not to mention the equipment that it likes to be warm.
So I just have one concern, we didn't put this on the budget for the park department. Do you guys have a bit of a plan of how you can counteract this?
No, you brought that up, and.
We did, yeah.
And, yeah, put it on the plan. I'm just wondering if you put like under incidentals type thing, or
What's the cost you need?
$34.50. $3,400.
Okay.
And but did we budget to keep this building? Cause like I said,
We
I
don't
was,
budget to replace the heater. I don't know that, I mean, if it's been running this entire time and it's comparable to what we did last year, then we did.
No, we don't keep it.
And it's gonna be
heaters
more
in there.
efficient if it's a new one.
Right. You know, keep it at 50, pretty much, and if I'm in there, whatever, we'll put it to 60. Bryson losing his thermostat, I mean, the guts and everything.
Okay. Make a motion to approve.
Have a second? I'll second.
Dean,
Yes.
Gage, yes. Bassel. Yes.
Thank you. Number 8, discuss approve, disapprove, reactivating the tree board in light of the recent forestry grant proposal presented by Jay Roberts.
So, one of the things is that I came to this quite by accident. We were discussing in the Parks Board, about a lot of things about lots in the city, and it had to do with Kevin doing the work there at the viaduct with the train and stuff, and how well that turned out. So, then Jenny tasked me with, because we got into this discussion about, this discussion we always have in Crawford, I think, is the lots, the appearance of the lots, the vacant lots, this kind of thing. So I kind of suggested something like that, a decision tree, that how, when these lots are identified, what does, I don't know, kind of taking you guys out before town council, that when these lots get identified, like, what do you do about it? I mean, most of us are kind of aware, like, well, it might be this lot, it might be that lot. And how do you approach people about these things? And a lot of times these lots, I'll get to the whole thing, the tree thing in a second, but they're going to be kind of combined. So the idea is that you want to approach people, I think, cooperatively and in a good spirit, because sometimes there might be lots of reasons. Hey, they may live in South Dakota, they just own a lot. Could be that they're elderly, they don't have the equipment, they're infirm, they may themselves know that they want to do something about this lots, if they're unable to do it. So this would open up a discussion at first with, people, and then see, is there some way that we can work together to improve that appearance? Okay, so I'm going to table that for right now. So out of that, as I was reading ordinances and things, all of a sudden this appeared, and then of course we were talking about trees and everything. It's like, wow, there's a lot of work that someone did at some point. I mean, there's 3 pages of setting up this board. I have a copy there, so you have a copy up here. And what is that? That's section 1, article 10, something like that. In the so anyone can go up on the website and look at it and read it. But that's a lot of work in there, and it really started kind of sparking my thoughts and imagination about kind of combining the whole problem, because it used terms like a tree canopy, public, private, and the idea was, as I read the powers of this board as it was written, is that it actually had quite broad powers. So if you have a curmudgeon who's like, I don't care if that tree's dead, you're never gonna. Well, the tree board actually had the authority to say, well, no, in light of the fact that it's a detriment to the town, we're gonna remove that tree. And you could not, fight them on it. It states that very plainly. So I thought, well, that's kind of an because there really is a kind of a public, whatever, public nuisance, public welfare, for people to just disregard what are ordinances, what is common politeness, because they themselves, again, use the word curmudgeons. I know that when we kind of discussed lumber issues in the planning commission, that Raylene was talking about, that at one point, I guess several years ago, they were trying to work with someone, and the person began to kind of stalk her and threaten her. And I think that if we do have people that are difficult to deal with, you know, who are not acting within the spirit of the law, well, then you come underneath ordinances. You know, there are ordinances on the book, but you don't want to do those right off the bat. Someone has to have a proven track record of being ornery before you say, well, we still got to get it done, and so we're now here. So the point is that it's so well written. I thought it was a very good document for the tree board, that with just a little bit of tweaking, it could kind of take in the grounds, the landscaping of the town and the city, because they're really not that different if you're talking about trees or you're talking about grasses or bushes. It's not that much different. So that's, I guess, my big thing on kind of last statement about the future of Crawford. Myself, I see that improving the overall beauty and appearance of the town as essential to growth and development here, whatever people define that as being. Last night I went to the high notion, the high school about the sports teams, and I got there to speak and just kind of basically said, well, I wouldn't go into that, but that I mentioned that I would see growth in Crawford, you know, that I can see 1,500 people. Well, I'm way out there from most people's perspective. Most people really think, no, Crawford's a dying town. That was one of the narratives at the high school. We have to get together with Sioux County because in 5 years we're not going to be able to field a team. And I was surprised that that seemed to be a consensus opinion of people, at least at that meeting. So I think that's very important to address, that we need to see Crawford as a town that can grow, that can prosper, that can attract business, that can attract families. It's not a dead, dusty town in Nebraska. You know, we moved here because of this natural beauty and we just talked about it. It's got a lot going for it. So I just think we need to begin to address that, and reactivating the tree commission, I think they call it, the tree board, and maybe expanding its powers a little bit for landscaping stuff. So my own self, I don't think it would be something that could be approved today, but maybe there could be an ad hoc committee that would look at it and then bring it up for approval.
Well, I know I really appreciate you bringing this to attention, Jay, and mentioning we do have, in what we already have created, the opportunity for one. Difficult part of that would be finding enough people to be on that board. It does require 6, right? At least I asked for 6 people, and we still have 3 of our boards, including our council, that are still on hold. So that would be a challenging part of that. I'll add to that last night I missed the co-op meeting because I was in Chadron attending a land bank meeting. It was great, actually, and I look forward to doing more research to see what would work best for Crawford, to clean it up in a way that that can be most impactful. So we'll see what we can come to, but we appreciate that coming to point. Maybe it's something that between a lot of us we can rub brains and develop something.
I like the idea of an ad hoc committee. I think that's important to start. Because I agree with you wholeheartedly that we need to clean up. That would make a huge difference. Adam, my question to you is, if this is already on the books, how can we change it to be only 3 people or?
Yes, you can certainly amend your ordinance. I'm not sure that we've ever had I don't think we've ever had an active tree board since I've been here. Reading through the ordinances, I do have some due process concerns in regard to the powers of the tree board as far as hearings, so there may have to be some amended processes as well. Don't want to confuse this with your health board. Don't want to confuse this with the nuisance ordinances. tree boards are for trees. Okay, I hear what you're saying, but this is pretty specific to that. There are other processes with regard to lots and weeds, which we've sent some notices out recently, I think. I certainly think we can review it. I mean, it's just never something that's come up in my however many years. Part of that's what April said, getting people on boards. And like you said, this is a board that could trigger some people. I think it's a great idea though. There's problems in every town with trees. And it might take some of the heat off this council to deal with it. So certainly can look at it.
Right, you know, and some of the stuff I didn't bring up was feeling a strong culture that Nebraska has about trees.
Sure.
Arbor Day, the Arboretum Committee, I mean, this is a real chance to find grants, that was
Well, it might be a great follow-up to this big grant coming to our community and us doing a huge cleanup to maybe keep it that way too, so it's definitely not a bad idea.
well, I thought, I want to look through these things, to see it out the hand. But basically, there's lots of reasons for joining up with that. The looking over more grants, because that's what I was seeing, is that there are a lot of tree grants, a lot of landscaping grants, and once you join these organizations, you become aware of them. Who knows how much has been given away over time. Going back to the whole law issue and whether this is that, I don't know whether things can be adjusted. I'll just speak there to the need for that, because I don't think it can continue to be tabled. Nobody wants to address it for different reasons. Some just straight out fear. They're afraid of, approaching people who may not be nice about it or reasonable. But we can't just let it go on. We can't let fear control the growth and development of the town. I know for myself, as a business looking forward, what's Jay, do I get extra? Well, there are some things that need to be in place in infrastructure of the town before you can begin to invite people here for what might be planned. Tricia and I were talking about that. And those things need to begin to be instituted or at least addressed somewhat in these next few years. If we're starting to look at, well, where are we going to get in 5 years, we can't be letting these things go. Because you're not going to get people understand what it is. People to move here with the condition of the town. It's a scary little town. When Trish and I drove in the first time, kind of being invited here, we're like, I don't think so. And as we moved here and we found the people, and found the project, we're like, yeah, this is a great place. But first impressions are very important, and Crawford's first impressions are frankly very cool.
And as an aside, there'd be a fiscal commitment. What's gonna happen with the council, with a tree board, or with a health board, or with dealing with nuisance issues or weed issues, is there are, and this alludes to it, probably needs updated, but there's the abatement. Typically, that's what's gonna happen. Because you're running into individuals that financially can't take care of their problem, in many, many cases. So the city would be in a position that, okay, we're gonna take care of that, we're gonna special assess, but the city has to be able to afford to do the abatement on the front end before they ever assess on the back end. Hopefully, those taxes get paid. That's always the commitment with the various councils I've had through the years. Some councils are more committed to that than other councils. But it's a fiscal issue, as much as anything.
Well, and, I thought through some of these issues, and I'm trying to find these notes here. One is that as part of this whole process of approaching persons, you may say, do you want to sell? This is a lot of hassle. And you may find these people want to sell. And there may be people who want to buy those properties. Again, as property values increase in Crawford, and it's seen as a reasonable investment town, I can see, I'm all the time seeing properties, I'm like, oh my God,
And I agree with somebody that personally in my town has bought lots and cleaned them up and got them to new owners. So there also has to be a commitment from your citizenry to say, okay, fine, I'll buy that lot, I'll buy that lot, we'll clean it up, and then maybe we turn it to somebody, young family, somebody new that will use it, build on it, fix it, whatever. So there's always been that. The reliance is on city's gonna take care of it. Well, the city doesn't have the funds always to take care of it. And sometimes you have to find it within the collective to do so together. I think together. is
Yeah,
always-
that was very much what I was kind of getting at.
Yeah.
Was by having a board to, well, it's quasi-governmental, but maybe it needs to be something by outside the board to kind of legal responsibility or whatever.
It's a board so you can force people to do what they don't wanna do. And that gets into the government side of this, and there is language with regard to the board going on in private property, abating the issue, so to speak. And then the process, what I don't see there, and again, haven't really had occasion to look at it because it's never been an issue, but like with the nuisance process, if we send a notice, you have 10 days to 15 days to clean up, mow your grass, do whatever. That person does have the ability to ask for a hearing for the council, which is part of the due process element, which I don't see with the tree board, maybe something we would have to tweak, which you can always amend ordinances. Again, kind of asked about 6 members, it could be 5, I think. I don't think this is statutorily driven, I think this is more of a local issue. A lot of the nuisance statutes are dealt with by statute, and we just know what the statute says. But we can look into this, it's great, I think you should look into it.
I've looked this up before, that's almost verbatim.
Those statutory, okay, it's fair enough, statutes,
And I guess what I'm saying is, I want to encourage the town to take an honest, hard look at it. Because it may be that, my sense is that most people do want to work with others. Most people do know that there's problems. And you probably have a relatively, like for instance, let's say there's 60 lots that could use some help. Maybe only 6 of those owners would be really, recalcitrant to help and join in and work with people. And there may be other ways, because I've already encountered these things, again, I'm not divulging anything, but I've already encountered people who own some of these properties who are willing to sell. You just have to know their price, and you have to approach it carefully. And that's not in the town's purview, but the town can help some of those individuals and some of those groups who are looking to do that, to improve my properties and those things.
So there are quite a few completely dead trees around town that are, when they fall over, could land on a car driving by or something. The ones that when they fall, will just fall on that person's house. That's kind of their problem, right? As long as it's not affecting their neighbors, what do we care, right? It's a problem, and you're just being that person that just doesn't want to deal with it. So for the town to get involved with that, I don't think that's an issue. But the ones that are gonna cause problems with neighboring houses or traffic, things like that, I think definitely need to be, there needs to be something done with it, and very soon. Some of these have been dead a while, they're gonna start dropping big,
that's a safety issue.
right?
Edward, do you have something?
Okay, so I've read through the tree board ordinances and stuff, and it's very good, very interesting things. A year ago, we added 2 seats to the park board. So there's a perfect opportunity with what Jenny's been doing with the arbor and the tree cataloging in town. There's a perfect opportunity to maybe even open up 1 more seat on the park board and kind of combining these 2 boards together and letting maybe them work together if they're not already overloaded. But I know that from a sewer water standpoint, there's a lot of live trees that are in alleyways and a lot of trees that are causing a lot more issues than just unsightly dead. They're destroying our services. They're causing issues. You yourself complain at least once a month about trees in the alleyways, blocking Swan and everything like that. So this is a huge opportunity for us to kind of step up and say, okay, Now, I do know that maybe combining two boards is difficult, but if we could open up a couple more seats on the park board and maybe fill them, instead of trying to fill 6 more seats, we try and get maybe 1 or 2 more seats for the park board, it could be an option moving forward. I know that it would help us a lot with a lot of the sewer issues that we have, because we get an insane amount of complaints on blockages that aren't on our side. It's in personal service lines, it's tree roots, it's live trees, it's not just the dead trees on the side of the road that are gonna fall into the street. So I mean, it's something we could look into.
My suggestion would be, go ahead and start your ad hoc. Get it, see who's interested, what kind of feel you get, from the community with other people. I like Edward's suggestion about combining, I don't know if that's legal. I might be getting stares from Adam, I don't know. But I think I 100% agree with you that we need to clean up the community. I also like the idea that maybe not make it a city thing, but a community thing, like people need to put, there is a lot of negativity in the community, and it's like, oh, it's always been this way, or, it used to be blah, 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 whatever. So I think more people need to take a interest in the community that they live in, So I don't know, just see what you find out, that'd be my thought.
I have a thought too, and it might be separate from tree board altogether. But what if there was a foundation or a scholarship or some sort of group that simply raised and managed funds for the express purpose of, the tidying and improvement of ISO properties, and it's on an application or a nomination basis. In that way, it's presented as an opportunity rather than a witch hunt. And if one project is successful, people can see the success and want some for themselves, and maybe that's a way to structure a project like that. What does that sound like to you?
As an aside to that, and I've suggested this to not necessarily this board, but private individuals create an LLC. Create an LLC with investors, if you will. I'm talking about in my town, we have Harrison Development LLC,
Yeah.
and we have bought properties and cleaned them, rolled them. We just put a new roof on our grocery store.
How do you fund that?
Private people writing checks.
Donations and sponsors?
Well, no, it's investors. And we've gotten a group of investors that put into the LLC. The LLC handles it. If you need more money, the investors, or you find more investors. But it's not government. It's privately dealt with, so you don't have to deal with people saying, well, why is the government funding this? Might, and it's not necessarily true, but why are my taxpayer dollars going into this? It's an arm's length situation. But you have to have a core, and I know there are people in this town that would be willing to involve themselves in that. I do know this. But they do their own thing. They're not encumbered by what encumbrances are up here. It's a business deal. Okay, you have a lot, you want $5,000 for it, there's 10 of us, we're putting in our money, we buy the lot, clean the lot up, if it's a building, if it's a salvageable building, we clean it up to the point where somebody might see it and have a vision, and then you sell it, and take any funds, if you make any money, which I'm waiting for that to happen, but if you make any money, you put it into the next lot. And that's a private, that's people in town getting together saying, we want our town to be better. Now, there's things that we have to do as far as nuisance and cleanups, I get that, I do get that. But the funding mechanism and all this, I mean, trees, we're talking about trees, anybody talk to Tree Doc about what it costs to take a tree down lately? Oh my, and a lot of the people that have the trees would like the trees gone, but they can't afford to take the trees down. So, foundations are great. I mean, we have Sioux County Foundation, we have Coffee Foundation. They don't generally delve into these areas. But if you have people or a group of people that have a little financial capability with a vision, we might be able to come up with a group that says, hey, we can kind of, not gonna take care of everything, but you hit some spots where you can, and try to move forward.
Well, and I believe we probably have already drawn up the corporation. You know, we agreed upon doing White River cooperatives.
Perfect.
Start doing White River cooperatives.
Perfect.
Start doing it. I guess for myself and my way of thinking, one of the things that, because we're all people, I mean, I'm saying, even though town board, whatever, boards, at the end of the day, what we need to do, I think, is increase that communication and feel like we have each other's back as we're doing things. So that, for instance, if we do have a non-profit or an LLC, or you just have an ad hoc committee, that there are ways that it can come back to boards, whoever the boards are, the parks board, and that there can be a free flow of communication as we work our way to solving problems. But the town's going to be involved in that at some point. You know what I'm saying? If there's a sticky wicket somewhere, the town also needs to kind of know the town laws, that they are also aware of and involved in supporting people with cleanup efforts. You know, everybody knows that we're all working together. Sometimes it's official and legal, sometimes it's informal, and sometimes it's for-profit, sometimes it's volunteer, et cetera, et cetera.
And it's a sell to your general populace, because not everybody thinks town's bad. I know it's hard to believe, but no, it's a true story. You know, some people love their yard a mess. I mean, they just do. I've had those people in court on behalf of this city before. Why are we here? Well, you can't get to this, and then you gotta circle back to, well, it's vermin, it's all those things that could be a problem in the city. Just unsightly doesn't work. It's kind of like zoning. You can't zone pretty.
Well,
You
and
can zone
I don't think
use.
we need an HOA in town.
Well, no, I get it, I get you.
I do think that there are, when it goes beyond the pale, and I think, you know, not that we all have objective standards, like, okay, they've gone beyond the pale. However, I think that's the main thing, is to have a conversation, have an awareness, and to not avoid these issues, because that's a lot of what I see is avoidance, because it's going to be unpleasant, maybe eventually. I don't have any specific thing in mind, and this is not just to Crawford, this is in towns and cities.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere, but what you see is, I'll give you a couple of quick examples. Hastings, Nebraska, and Imperial, Nebraska. Tricia's worked with both of them, the travel nurse. And you go there, and the cleanliness of the town is almost spooky. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're driving, it doesn't matter, lawns are manicured, they're grown, they're okay, what's going on here? So that's a culture thing inside the city. Now, does that mean I want to move to Imperial? No. You know, I like Crawford. But I don't think that as we're talking about culture and we're talking about having a general awareness of stuff, that we can talk about. I don't think we have to avoid the subject, and I think that we can say, okay, how are we going to address it? So we might not be able to address it in every situation, but I don't think that should keep us from trying and negating 90% of it.
It's a never ending battle. I mean, it is, it's never ending. It's not discussion, not battle. That sounds, when it gets to me, it's not, but discussion. So, I'm done.
Good ideas.
Are we thinking just no action on the?
I think so. I think just move forward, and I want to look at the ordinances and see if they're good to go. They probably are. We just have never had a true board active.
Thank you all for the great discussion with that. I think you've all shared some great ideas, and that's much appreciated. Number 9, approve bills, claims, requisition orders, and transfers. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion to accept bills.
Second.
I'll second it. Page? Yes. Gaston? Yes. Dean?
Yes.
Okay, and I'd like to call for, executive meeting tonight.
A motion.
No, make a motion to have an executive meeting.
Personnel matter.
Pardon?
For personnel matters.
Personnel matters.
Oh, okay, for personnel matters.
executive session for personnel, so she needs a second.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Paige,
Yes.
Gaston, yes, Steve.
Yeah.
So we gotta clear the room.
Thank you. Hello, how are you?
I've looked at that.
Well, this is about you and yours.
But, you know,
Just for your more documented.
maybe that's the problem, is you said you've never seen an active board.